Latoya Rita J., Interim Assistant Director at the Alameda County Workforce Development Board, and I will turn it over to Ayana to introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayana Cruz. I'm the Youth Program Specialist for the Alameda County Workforce Development Board.
Thank you, Ayana. So thanks for being here rather, for our Youth 2025 through 2029 RFP Bidders Conference. In today's Bidders Conference, we will be providing you an overview of WIOA and the Alameda County Workforce Development Board generally before jumping into the specifics of the RFP. We'll also take some questions, but we first and foremost would like for you to put your questions in the chat. We will provide an opportunity after presenting to come off of mute to share and vocalize your questions. And then we'll carve out about 30 minutes towards the end for some networking activities as well. All right. So Ayana, do you have the PowerPoint? So while we're waiting for that, please remember to mute yourself throughout, because as I said, we will provide that opportunity to come off of mute to ask your question. And so we will be accepting questions as well, additional questions rather, Monday, December 9th by 12 p.m. And so if for some reason you walk away from this presentation with additional questions, feel free to use that general inbox to submit your question as well. We will then in turn post it on our website on our Doing Business with Us page so that you have a central location to find the information where we will post a Q&A from all of the RFPs, all of the bidders conferences rather. So with that, next slide. Okay, so just to give you a little background, the Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is WIOA Title I that we're responsible for, is passed through the Department of Labor, and actually funded by the Department of Labor, the Employment and Training Administration, and then passed down to the state through the Employment Development Department. From there, the workforce boards in the state, there are about 45, receive their allocations for services in their local area. There's the state designation local area that is something that the state has carved out. And so we work inside of Alameda County, but outside of the city of Oakland. So we cover the 13 places and cities in Alameda County. Oakland Workforce Board does have its own allocation for services for Oakland residents. And then there are also 2 additional boards in the East Bay, in the immediate East Bay region, City of Richmond Workforce Development Board and Contra Costa Workforce Development Board. So in both counties, you have 2 county boards and then 2 city boards. In talking about the WIOA Title I, there's also additional titles under WIOA. There's WIOA Title II, which is administered by the adult schools. WIOA Title III is administered by the Employment Development Department for their unemployment insurance benefit programs. And then WIOA Title IV is implemented by the Department of Rehabilitation for people, job seekers with disabilities. You do have 45 boards in the state. Most boards are working in a regional fashion as well. Those 4 boards that I mentioned work together under East Bay Works and also as the East Bay Regional Planning Unit to engage in regional projects. And so this could be, a regional employer project or, developing a grant where all regions are involved. So we have been working as a region since about 1998. So generally speaking, as we're moving forward, we did launch a new slate of RFPs on November 15th. So this bidders conference is really to get ready for the time frame ahead of us, which would begin on July 1 of 2025. And WIOA does provide access to adults, dislocated workers, in-school and out-of-school youth with the goal of getting people ready for the economy, the current economy, but also the future economy, and also meeting the needs of employers. So really kind of doing this work of building relationships with employers for that dual benefit for both the employer and the job seeker, in this case, in school and out of school youth. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll turn it over now to Ayanna for the specifics of the RFP.
Thank you. So WIOA requires that at least 75% of youth funding be allocated towards eligible out-of-school youth, and the remaining balance of 25% is allocated towards the in-school youth. There is only one request for proposal with 2 separate response packets for the youth and young adults. The out-of-school youth program will have the local name Future Force Career Program, and the in-school youth will have the local name Youth Innovation Program. Each will operate under the banner of the Youth and Young Adult Services. And if you want more information about the specifics of the proposal, this will be located on page 6 for more information. On the screen, we have the geographic region, which may be used for the out-of-school youth during this process. There are no geographic requirements for the in-school youth, and we'll speak on that more on the next slide. So funding for the out-of-school youth will be dependent on the sub-region. Funding allocations are determined based on the high levels of unemployment within the sub-region areas, hence the different percentages per sub-region. For the out-of-school youth, the targeted age is 16 to 24, and this is a 12-month cost reimbursement contract with the option to renew for up to 3 years, so a 4-year in total potential contract. Funding for the in-school youth is not dependent on the sub-region. However, the response packet will still require the bidder to list which sub-region will be supported. This is also a 12-month cost reimbursement contract with the option to renew for up to 3 years. And then the funding is listed above for more information. And the ages for the in-school youth would be ages 16 to 21. And this information will be listed at the end of page 8 on the RFP packet. For the out-of-school youth, again, the age range is 16 to 24, and the eligibility for out-of-school youth is that the youth are not enrolled in any school and may encounter challenges in assessing education and/or employment opportunities. In-school youth age 16 to 21 are attending school. They come from low-income backgrounds and encounter additional potential barriers. The bidders will detail the strategies for engaging the youth, including introducing them to diverse career pathways, providing industry-specific employment training, and offering wraparound services as needed. More information about the youth eligibility will be located on page 14 of the RFP. So the WIOA program design requirements and enhanced elements. Earlier this year, the Alameda County Workforce Development Board, in collaboration with the Apollo research team, facilitated a community youth feedback research process, allowing us to highlight the following enhanced elements along with the WIOA program design requirements. So the first, outreach, recruitment and orientation, identifying potential eligible youth and providing an orientation regarding the services that the bidder will provide or the contractor will provide. Intake eligibility registration includes the objective assessment and the individual service strategy as well. And the individual service strategy will be used as a living document that should be updated as needed to reflect the students' overall success and future plans. The case management is a participant-centered and goal-oriented process designed to assess the specific needs of the youth. The bidders are expected to maintain an appropriate staff to participant ratio as well for case management. Next is the incentive payments, um, which recognize participants' achievements of performance outcome linked to training, education, and/or work experience. Bidders must also describe how the organization will ensure that these services are provided and a high quality of service is maintained throughout the duration of this contract. To continue, the other program design requirements and enhanced elements include support services to assist with barriers to success, such as transportation or work clothing, tracking and case files through CalJobs is very imperative. If it's not documented in the CalJob system, it did not happen, which is a requirement of the state for us to reflect the work that's being done on the ground level. The digital skills piece is to ensure all participating youth acquire essential skills for navigating online platforms such as digital tools and critically evaluating digital content. The follow-up piece is required for up to 12 months, which could be also combined with potential support services, which we have a policy on our website for more information on that. Mental health training and services, which include providing trauma-informed training to core and frontline staff. Additional training includes de-escalation as well as wraparound support for the youth, including support services as needed. In addition, bidders are expected to demonstrate partnerships with employers, high education institution, law enforcement, juvenile and justice systems, housing programs, community-based organizations, and many other organizations that provide services. And then finally, the financial literacy. Bidders must demonstrate their ability to facilitate information and activities such as creating budgets, different bank accounts that are available to the students, managing spending, and much more. For more information on the WIOA program design requirements and enhanced elements, please visit the RFP at the end of page 9. WIOA also requires that the 14 elements listed on the screen be available to all eligible youth and young adults and must be available on a year-round basis. The RFP requires bidders to articulate these elements and that they will be accessible and or delivered. And the bidders are not required to provide all services themselves, but must articulate how all 14 elements will be offered to the enrolled participants, whether that's through partnerships or direct services. And the first is the tutoring, and we want to highlight a few of these just as we go on, but the tutoring skills, training and instruction based dropouts, prevention services, and recovery strategies that lead to the completion of requirements for a secondary school diploma or recognized equivalent, or recognized post-secondary credential. The next is the alternative secondary school services for dropout services as needed. Number 3 is work experience. So local areas must also spend at least 20% of their WIOA youth formula allocation on work experience activities. And work experience could be meaningful and meaningful paid or unpaid work experience that have academic and occupational education as a component of the work experience, which may include summer employment and other employment opportunities, pre-apprenticeship programs, apprenticeship programs, internships, and on-the-job training. And there's more listed on page 13 of the RFP if you guys want further detail. Number 4 also supports occupational skills training, which includes training programs that lead to recognized post-secondary credentials that are aligned with the in-demand industry sectors as listed in the RFP as well. Number 4, well, I just did 4. Number 5 is education. Number 6, leadership development opportunities that include community service, parenting, life skills training, or other peer-centered activities encouraging the responsibility of positive social behaviors amongst the youth. 7 is support services to reduce the barriers to success in school or work. 8 is adult mentoring. 9, follow-up services, and as mentioned in the program design elements. 10, comprehensive guidance and counseling, which provides individualized counseling to participants that may include drug and alcohol use counseling, mental health counseling, referrals to partners programs, and more. Number 11, financial literacy education. 12, entrepreneurship skills training. 13, labor market analysis. And number 14, preparation for post-secondary education and training, which also may include activities exploring post-secondary education opportunities, studying for the SAT or ACT, um, supporting the youth with applying for scholarship and grants, and much more, which is also listed at the end of page 14. So the eligible organizations and qualifications are listed on the screen. We will support nonprofits, community-based organizations, public or private, for-profit, educational institutions, partnerships, and or collaborations. A qualified applicants must have a minimum of 2 years of documented successful experience in providing the full range of youth workforce development services to eligible individuals aged 16 to 24. However, eligible bidders who may not possess this specific experience are encouraged to highlight knowledge and relevant transferable skills that demonstrate their capacity to effectively support and engage this population. There are also certain qualifications listed on the screen. The Alameda County or the County of Alameda has a small local and emerging businesses requirement that has allowed our department to add an additional 5% consideration for local businesses and an additional 5% for approved SLEB agencies. So a potential 10% consideration overall for the bidding process. If you are not a SLEB agency, there is a requirement to partner with an approved SLEB vendor while providing 20% of the overall RFP approval amount. If you are SLEB exempt, there's more information about this on page 18 as well to see if you are SLEB exempt or not. The SLEB information page has an additional step listed for you to complete on the response packets. On that SLEB information sheet, you will just add the exempt word underneath the signature page and then like a blank area on the response packets. And again, more information about this and other SLEB information will be listed on page 18 of the RFP. So our RFP timeline, our RFP was released November 15th, and we're currently at our second virtual information session, which will be posted online as well up until the proposal due date. So you guys can reference back as well. All written questions will be due on Monday, December 9th. All questions that are addressed in the chat, as well as the AM session and the emailed written responses or written questions will be compiled in an addenda, which will be posted on our Alameda County Workforce Development website, which will be posted on the 13th. Proposals for the RFP will be due January 6th by 5 p.m. By using the email that's listed on the screen. We also will have a bidders interview process within January. So for those that qualify for this next round, we will reach out to those and then schedule dates to review the RFP and the next step for interviews. The contract start date is scheduled for July 1, 2025. And I will move on to the next. The submission of proposals. So the format for the submission or the response package should be 12-point font, Times New Roman or similar, 1-inch standard margin, single space. Pages should be numbered sequentially and not to exceed the pages that are indicated on the checklist found on the response packet on page 5. The required documents, which they are also listed on the response packet checklist. You will include the checklist, the cover letter, 3 references, 2 employment commitment letters, proof of local agency eligibility for the 5% consideration, the response packet documents, and enclosure documents requiring signature, which is also found within the response packet. And again, so the submission for proposals, we're allowing for one proposal in PDF format, and it must be submitted as follows. You will either choose the A Youth Innovation Program in School Youth Response Packet, or the Future Force B Future Force Career Program Out of School Youth Response. You will send it via email, and then listed here is how the format should be for the subject. So you want to place the bidder's name plus the RFP number, or for example, RFP number listed here, Future Force, or RFP number, Youth Innovation. The deadline for the digital timestamp is no later than January 6th at 5 p.m. And then we are also requesting 3 hard copies to be sent priority certified mail by January 13th. And they should all have wet signatures for all of the required forms listed on the response packet. And now we're going to provide space for questions and answers. The questions will be addressed in the order they are received. All unanswered questions will be included in the final addenda, as well as the questions that may be answered in the chat. And the addenda will be posted on the WIO website for easy access, which is listed here.